Happy New Year, everyone. Or maybe I should say a little quieter in case some of you partied a little hard last night. Welcome to 2024 and welcome to episode 13 of the GBGuns Armory, where we look back at stuff that has been reviewed in the past for me to give a little more of the touchy-feel side, less the fact side, and also for us to discuss topics of relevance that come up from a particular firearm. Remember, my intent here is that this becomes somewhat of the Reddit of the YouTube world. I want to hear your experiences, your thoughts, and opinions. So, for episode 13, we have the Springfield Prodigy. This came out with a lot of fanfare, and as a result, immediately was answered to with a lot of hate, and it seemed like folks were looking for problems, and they certainly found them. Backing up to what was the purpose of this thing? What did this accomplish? The Springfield Prodigy brought the double stack 1911 style of pistol into relative affordability. And I think that was their intent, and I appreciate that quite a bit. I had experience from years back with the incredibly well done, hand fit and finished SPS Pantera that I loved. It is a treat to shoot and handle that thing, and it stays on display even prior to this armory for most of its time because I simply don't want to wear it out and don't want to beat it up. Then we had the Bull Armory SAS 2 TAC 4 1/4, which has become one of my carry guns. Taken it to training course, love that thing. Neither of those are particularly affordable. They're both guns you really got to save for. The Prodigy is not inexpensive, but compared to, I think, the brand that everyone thinks about, Staccato, used to be STI, the ones who trademarked the 2011 name, these are dirt cheap. And so that meant a lot of people who wanted to try it and get into it, who wanted to enjoy the 1911 ergonomics, the 1911 grip angle. I know a lot of other guns say they have it, but there's something about a 1911 that just holds different. Tell me if I'm wrong, but to me they just meld different. And then more importantly, the 1911 trigger, that crispness, the short reset, all of that beauty. The Prodigy brought that. The other thing that it brought that I think is really good for anyone looking to get into this platform is the collaboration with Duramag to make these magazines. Now you can only buy them directly from Springfield. They're not quite as commodity as one might hope, but they're still about half the price of a lot of other 2011 double stack 1911 magazines, and you can get them in various sizes and run them in other guns. So you can take your $3,500 Staccato and pop a $30 mag in it. And that's great for practice and training. They don't require tuning. They don't require all the other nightmarish stuff that if you look back, dig back on forums, even just 5 years ago, about the black magic that people had to work into their double stack 1911 magazines to get it to run right in the gun. These haven't been perfect in everything I've tried them in, but they generally work, and at the very least, as a range and practice mag, great. So, Prodigy comes out. Everyone gets excited. They do their big influencer push. Everyone says it's the greatest thing ever. A bunch of people buy guns. A bunch of people have problems with guns. I sat back and waited quietly and saved up and also waited for the price to come down and then bought this one. So it's not an immediate sample. It is one that was purchased well after the problems had been identified and then fixed. My impressions with it on the range is it's a good gun. I did not get the magic out of it. Is that because I had experienced the SPS and the Bull Armory prior to that, and this felt a little less expensive, which is what it is? Or is that just that the hype was so strong that when you finally get something, even though it's good, you're expecting magic and you don't get it? I'm curious because I'm sure some of you guys own Prodigies. Tell us what your experience was getting a Prodigy and then taking it to the range. Were you blown away or not? The other kind of oddness that I had with it is the gun to me seems like it has kind of an identity crisis. Now this is the 4 1/4 inch model, and part of the identity crisis is 4 1/4. To me, feels like that's carry size. Good gun for carry. I mean, the SAS2 TAC that I carry is a 4 1/4, great size, but we only have one slot of pick underneath for your lights, etc. Now, if you've got the right light, that's fine. You only use one slot anyways, but only putting one there limits you, and that to me is more of a competition gun type feature of that's just so the guys can add their weights to the front of the gun. Speaking of weight, by only having one, that left more material underneath the dust cover. And what is this material? It's steel, not aluminum. Now, steel, of course, more durable, and generally steel is used for the rails and any friction points, things like that in these. But they went with steel and then polymer, and as a result, the Prodigy is heavy. Heavier than I'd want to carry. And like, if it's going to be a competition gun, then 5 inch, which they do make. I bought the 4 1/4 specifically so I could compare it equally against my other 4 1/4 inch guns, and to try to keep things as carry oriented as possible. But this to me is just not really a carryable gun. The other bit is that trigger. It's good. It's not terrible. It's not magic, but not bad. I guess I can't complain about it. I swear, and maybe this gun's more broken in since, you know, we do all of our range reviews straight out of the box, brand new firearm. So sometimes, and that's why they're called impressions, because they are the first impression, the same experience you would have when you got the gun and took it to the range for your first time and thought about whether or not you made a good purchase or a mistake. But that first time, it didn't feel too great. It feels fine now. Roughness in the slide and a little bit of hang up that happens about there when things aren't fully fitted is certainly there, but did not cause any functional issues, so I think that got fixed. I, at the same time, was very happy about Springfield bringing this out and making this platform, this style of firearm, more available, higher quantity and lower prices than all of the more braggadocious staccato guys, I guess you could say. I was happy about that, and then I was also thinking, well, this thing isn't that great. And I noticed in a lot of internet talk since it came out that it became sort of the project double stack 1911. It's the gun that you buy to then pour parts and labor and things into to make it the way you want. I can see that. I can certainly understand that. There's something fun about making a firearm your own. I mean, just in our most recent episode, we were talking about Glocks, and that's one of the great things that came from a need for changes in Glocks is the aftermarket and tinkering and learning and making it your own. I leave firearms as stock as I can here so that my review is of the firearm itself, not the firearm after I've tinkered with a whole bunch and then misrepresent it to you guys and you go out and get one and then it's not what I said it was. That's exactly why I run guns the way they come and try to keep them that way. And this Prodigy has remained standard. I think a threat to it might be the Girsan Witness 2311, which was reviewed recently on the main channel. I want to do some side-by-sides between the two. That gun is, let's say, rougher than these are. Was not as, I don't know, it's a weird concept to try to put a word on, like the pride and ownership, ooh, look what I got. Not quite as high with the Girsan, maybe because it's an import, I don't know. But the trigger was a little rougher, the action, that to me seems like a project. This, to me, seems like something that could have been a little bit better. And who knows what we'll see this year, maybe in a couple weeks here at SHOT. Springfield will announce their custom shop edition Prodigy that's already decked out, tuned out. Could be. I could see that happening very easily. I mean, my first pistol ever was a Springfield 1911 that I sent to the custom shop. So I know they have the capabilities. But what did you guys think about the Prodigy? I know a lot of GBGuns viewers are kind of like me, and you get a little bit soured if there's too much marketing push, if your feed is nothing but one particular firearm for a week straight, and it seems like everybody and their brother got one. It almost turns me off to it. But I think that's largely because there are very few reviewers out there that I watch and really enjoy. Most of them, I might like their personality. I might enjoy the visuals of their videos. They're great for cinematographers. They're great editors. But very few of them give me the information that I want to know about a firearm. That's part of why the reviews are different here. So I try to give you guys what I would want to know. I think the Prodigy is probably here to stay. The price has come down, and at the same time we've seen pretty terrible inflation in the country. So while everything else is going up, the price has come down on these things, making them relatively more affordable. Of course, that's assuming that your wages adjusted with inflation. I know mine didn't. So maybe that doesn't matter to you guys. But what are your thoughts? Like these, I think we're around $1,200 when I picked one up. Do you get one at $1,200? Or do you save a little longer and get something slightly higher end? I know the super high-end guys look down on Bull Armory. To me, Bull Armory is awesome. They're a few $100s more. So another couple months of saving, which with Bull Armory, since you have to wait for shipments anyways and they sell instantly, you might be waiting a few months to be able to buy one. Or, less expensive, you can get one now. You can find one American made, as far as we know. I don't know how much manufacturing Springfield actually does. They're generally a brand more than a manufacturer, but these appear to be Springfield. So I don't know. I don't have any information to convince me otherwise. And then my last point or question, since we all know, and heck, I just showed not too long ago on the main channel, that 20-year-old Bull Armory, which was not the first double stack 1911. They've been around longer than that. But what do you guys think of the craze going after these things? Is it something you're interested in? Were you aware of them before? Has it brought you into them? Did you try before and you say, nah? I mean, it is over a 100-year-old design, essentially. Yes, adding this polymer stock and then the double stack magazine, that's what's modern about it, but everything else about it is still 1911. That means there's a lot of parts, it means there's a lot of lore, but also a lot of lessons learned and things you can do with them. So it's kind of fun. When these came out, it doesn't balance very well. When these came out, a lot of the complaints or problems that I saw on reviews, it appeared to me that that was also the first time that person had spent much time with the 1911, and maybe they induced the failures. I say that because 1911s are a little more picky on what they eat. They're a little more finicky about how they're shot. They also require a little more maintenance. They don't like the abuse as much as your standard polymer frame striker fire gun that a lot of, I think, today's shooters have grown up as shooters with. They didn't spend much time on all metal guns, hammer fire guns that might have a couple parts that need hand fitting. So I'm curious if you guys noticed that too. Because I don't have an early one, I don't know if Springfield deserved the bad rap that got. But I can tell you that this one, serial number is in the 57,000s. Ran pretty well as far as I can tell. The only thing I would think is you gotta have a firm wrist and some good powered ammo, because it is a heavy slide and the slide has to push back against that mainspring during its cycle, so it needs all the energy it can get. I'm rambling at this point, so I'm just gonna stop. Thanks for joining us for episode 13 of GBGuns Armory. Let me know what you guys think about the Springfield Prodigy, about double stack 1911s, and we'll see you tomorrow.